Welcome to Mental Health Dumpster Fire, a podcast where therapists give their real opinions on mental health, relationships, parenting, and pop culture. Hosted by Courtney Laver, licensed clinical social worker, and Jess Miller, art therapist. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and cannot be used as a substitute for therapy. We cannot provide mental health services via this podcast or social media. We occasionally use explicit language in our podcast and discuss serious mental health and relationship issues. Please use discretion if you are listening with children. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Mental Health Dumpster Fire. Follow Courtney on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Laver Listens, and Jess on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at The Artsy Brain. We hope you enjoy the show. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay. Hello, welcome to Mental Health Dumpster Fire. We're here.
Woo!
Yay! How are you?
I'm doing all right. I went wedding dress shopping yesterday.
That's exciting.
It was exciting. I was super nervous about it, and like I have body image issues, so I was like, oh man, like I don't want to try on dresses, and I was like, oh, that whole process, and people are there and watching me. But it was so much fun. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they know how to make you feel
They hype
good.
you up.
Yeah.
And they know like what's gonna look nice on you, and like if you communicate like what your priorities are, they're like, I got you. So it was fantastic.
Yay.
I had so much fun.
Did you find one?
I think I did.
Yay! That's
I put it on
exciting.
hold, but I'm probably gonna buy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was nice to do something fun right before election day.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed that.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be stressful.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to it.
No, me neither.
Oh.
I'll be staying up late.
Yeah. Well, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm stressed. I'm here.
Mm-hmm,
I'm giving it a couple more weeks to settle.
Yeah.
And then I will figure out my life.
That's fair.
That's,
One step at a time, right?
yeah.
One level of things at a time.
Yeah. I love this sweater that you're wearing. It's
Thank
very
you.
cool.
It's my fiance's sweater, but I'm wearing it today.
That's
'cause
the
it
best
matched
part of
my
having a
leggings.
fiance,
Mhm.
or
I get to
any
wear
kind
his
of
clothes.
live in somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wardrobe doubled.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. It's tomorrow's election day. Not
Yep.
when you're watching this.
Right.
but-
We're recording this the Monday before election day. So things are tense. The unknown is scary. I think that is probably peak anxiety inducing for people is the unknown.
Yeah.
It's not definite, so
It's real scary.
mm-hmm.
We'll see. Maybe next time we film, it'll be like really dark and.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
apocalypse might happen.
Yeah.
We'll
Hopefully
see.
not.
We'll
Hopefully
see how
not.
it goes.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's just so stressful just to think about it. Just like, oh yeah, that's happening.
Yeah. Well, what would you like to talk about today?
Well, I did find like a Time magazine article about talking politics at like Thanksgiving.
Okay.
But if that's too stressful right now, we can do it
We
another
might as
day.
well.
We're getting close to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So.
By the time this comes out, it'll probably be Thanksgiving. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this might be timely then.
yeah.
Cool. So that's all that I have prepared though.
Okay.
Was that article?
I just pulled up my list of Reddit stories that I've been collecting over time.
Yeah.
And was just going to pick random ones. So,
Cool.
either way, what should we start with?
Let's maybe start with the stressful stuff first.
Sure.
And then do some fun Reddit
Sure.
stories.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just looking at NPR articles and Times Magazine articles, like mental health related stuff, as one does as a therapist. And this Time article, it actually came out in April of this year, but it popped up in a Reddit post where someone was posting about like coping with Thanksgiving with like family conflict, and someone had mentioned stuff about politics, and then someone else had posted this article. So it was an interesting article. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll put the article link in the description and stuff. But it's by Belinda Luscombe, It was posted April 9th of this year. And it's called It's going to be rough around the Thanksgiving table this year. Start planning now. And now was April, and we're talking about it now. But so she talks about, you know, all of the opposing kind of like views that are going on politically. She talks about it very like vaguely. But she is talking about how it's causing conflict in relationships and specifically families. And she talks about different psychologists and therapists and their views on how to cope and deal with it. And specifically, she talks about this guy who has, I think he co-founded or founded an organization that specifically helps families with political conflict in the family, helps them like do conflict resolution, basically.
Wow. Okay.
And it's specifically about politics. It's called Brave Angels or Braver Angels. So she talks about that a little bit in this article. It's an interesting article. So go read it. She references several different psychologists, therapists, mental health professionals. William Doherty is his name. He's a professor, Department of Family and Social Science at the University of Minnesota. He co-founded this organization that's called Braver Angels. It helps get people on both sides of the political fence to be able to talk to each other, and specifically with families and couples. The organization started in 2016 for that presidential election cycle. And they use like different family and couples counseling techniques centered on communication skills and conflict resolution. And they have in their they're kind of like trainings or like seminars, basically.
Okay.
And they're virtual. And then they have like small group, like virtual meetups where they like talk through with people in a smaller setting. So they have different ways that you can go about it. And then I think they do some trainings for mental health professionals as well. But within the Braver Angels organization, they have this kind of system of, it's like a categorizing people kind of like archetypes, but specifically with political conflict and communication conflict. So they have the peacekeeper. They try to avoid any hint of conflict and shut down any discussion at the earliest opportunity. The sniper, who takes political pot shots from the sides and then runs away, retreats. So people who like pop in with their little political quips, but then they leave.
Yeah,
they're like, I don't want to talk about it.
They don't want to get into the details. They just want to.
I just want to pipe
like,
in.
Also.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But then they don't want to talk about it
right.
either. The gladiator, and this is the type that the organization is like specifically trying to work with, are people that are like the gladiator. And this is someone who attacks anyone who disagrees with them over anything, but specifically politically. And I think we all know someone who's like that, or know someone who knows someone that's like that. Yeah. Because within a family, if you're talking about politics and it never turns out well and it always ends in with an argument, one of you is the gladiator. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what this whole organization, Braver Angels, works on, is dealing with that. Then there's three more. The defender, they mischaracterize the stated position of another person to gain advantage on their own. Yep. I was like, I know a lot of people like that. The bystander, who opts out of all discussion. The bystander and peacekeeper, I feel like, are kind of the same thing.
I feel like it sounds like the peacekeeper is more like the one who's like, hey guys, let's not talk about politics. And the bystander is like, I'm not even, if you want to do that, I'll be over here.
Right.
Buy the snacks.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Bystander is like completely not a part of it. And the peacekeeper is like, well, maybe we should talk about something else. Yeah. And then the engager. And this is the person who tries to have a substantive conversation about the disagreement. So the whole training is kind of like, how can you become more of an engager and less of a gladiator, or less of these other ones? It's interesting the words they picked for these. But I don't know. I feel like with like personality types or archetypes, none of them are like necessarily bad and none of them are necessarily good either. Right. It's just kind of like a type.
Right.
Yeah, but with these, I think they very clearly are like, these ones are the problem ones and these ones are the like okay ones, and then the engager is the type that you want to be.
Yeah. Ugh.
Which is, yeah, like,
I kind of wish everybody would just be a peacekeeper and just agree not to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's my personality.
Right. Yeah. And I think too, like, it depends on what group of people that I'm with.
Right. I'm thinking like family Thanksgiving, if there's a lot of big feelings and opposing opinions, is it better to just say, let's enjoy our time together?
Right.
Because we don't spend a lot of time together. So let's just not talk about it here.
Yeah.
And if I want to have a political conversation with you, we can set up a lunch or something.
Right. In the article, they talk about how, like, in preparation for Thanksgiving, honestly, the best way to go about it is to just say politics are off the table.
Yeah.
We're just not going to talk about it.
Right. Yeah. So is this article kind of like, if you have a gladiator in your family, how to talk to them if they refuse to not talk about politics?
Right. So the article kind of goes through different like potential scenarios and then references different psychologists and therapists, like what they would do. Most of them say, like, if it's an event where a family event, Thanksgiving or Christmas or something, and this is brought up, and like the gladiator type person, if the gladiator type person or whoever's just being problematic won't stop, then you're like, okay, well, we're just not going to talk about politics for the rest of the night. And then some of them are saying that you make that known before people arrive. You tell everyone invited, like, hey, we're not talking politics. And then it said, depending on, like, you know, if everyone is more of like an engager and is okay with talking, then setting aside time to do it not at the table or maybe not on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Saying like, hey, like, I know we're all pretty good about respecting each other and conversation about this, but this is a time for family and for eating as much food as humanly possible and having a good time. So we're going to reserve political discussions for not holidays, for other gatherings maybe. Which I think that is a more rare type of family or of like gathering kind of chemistry, I guess. Right. There's usually a couple or one person who kind of won't let go of a conversation.
Yeah, I think it depends on how big your family is and how often you spend time with them. Like if Thanksgiving is the only time you see Uncle Larry and he's a gladiator, like you're probably not gonna get away with, hey, we're putting it on the table. Like,
right. Yes. Some people are just not gonna let it go. And so some people were like, maybe you don't invite them, but then also it's a family event, so it's hard to not invite them. So they provided some suggestions of like gently telling people to stop. But
I will say, if Uncle Larry is the kind of person who doesn't care if a family member is excluded from the country, then maybe he can be excluded from Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think some people have very clear like boundaries with political discussions. And if you've made that clear before and they keep pushing it, then yeah, they don't have to be there if they're going to be like that. Especially if the discussion has been had already.
Right. If this is a yearly thing that everybody's like, oh my God, I'm dreading going to Thanksgiving because I know they're going to be arguing.
Right.
Then maybe you need to say, listen, people don't want to come. because you're going to talk about politics. So either
Yeah.
shape up or don't come.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the Reddit post, some people were talking about, like, if you're not the one hosting Thanksgiving, but you know it's going to be a problematic event, then maybe you host a Friendsgiving with other people who are in the same situation. And I thought that was a great idea because, you know, we still want to celebrate the vibe of Thanksgiving. Maybe not the origins, but the vibe of togetherness and eating a lot of food and having a good time with the people that you care about and that care about you. And so that might not be Uncle Larry. It sounds like he doesn't care about you very much, but your friends do. And they might be in a similar situation. So how about you all celebrate together? Yeah. So it's, I guess it depends if you're hosting or not. But if you're not the one hosting Thanksgiving and you have that option to be like, well, I'm not going to come because I know it's going to be a huge blow up problem.
Yeah, like we were talking about in our boundaries episode. It's
Yeah.
not about changing other people's behaviors. It's about, like, if you can keep yourself away from the things that you know are going to cause you stress.
Mm-hmm. Then go for it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can be a tough decision to make because it's Thanksgiving is a family celebration. So that can be really tough. But yeah, if you've had the conversation about politics with your family before and you don't think they're going to respect your boundaries on Thanksgiving, then follow through with your boundary and remove yourself or tell them, hey, I'm going to stop by for a little bit, but not the whole time. Whatever feels best for you.
Yeah, like maybe saying, like, I would appreciate if we didn't talk about politics at this Thanksgiving. If it starts to get heated, I will leave.
Yes. Yeah. Something like that. Mm-hmm. And making it known beforehand and not after the fact.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Because that's happened. I think we had a Reddit story where they kind of like didn't set the boundary until after the fact.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, now it's a bigger issue.
Right.
Now we have something else to work on.
Yeah. Now we're like, oh no, now we're comforting you while you're trying to set a boundary. So we feel like obligated. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's tricky. So within that same article, they referenced more of William Doherty's work with this organization. And they talk about these, and they're just basic like conflict resolution things. But this is what they are working on teaching people in terms of like political arguments within families. So this is a different guy, but Seth Freeman teaches conflict management at Columbia University.
I want that job.
I know. Interesting job. Teaching conflict management. Yeah. A lot of people need to take that class also. But it's at Columbia, so good luck. But he notes that even before engaging in a conversation with a vituperative relative, everyone has to swallow a bitter pill, which is difficult for those who think that data will save the day. So forget facts. And when I read that the first time, I was like, what? Forget facts? Like if I'm having a political discussion or argument with a family member, why would I forget the facts?
Right.
Why would I leave them out?
Yeah.
Because that's just like facts are truth. And so that is where I'm going to come from with my argument, right? That's what they teach us in school. But according to Seth Freeman, and he makes a good point, facts are actually a trap. They're not a gateway. And you want as much as possible to avoid arguing with facts because building an understanding takes more than just stating a fact. So he makes the point that, you know, when you're like, if you imagine that you're having a political argument with someone who is just kind of the opposite, and you state a fact, even if it's true, that other person is probably not going to believe it, is going to argue against it, and it's just going to continue the argument. Versus their perspective is that it's kind of like therapy. You meet them where they're at and try to understand where they're coming from, which might be coming from a place of misinformation. But if you can understand that, then it builds basically empathy in the argument.
That sounds like an exhausting thing to do on Thanksgiving.
I agree. I don't think this is appropriate for Thanksgiving, for a family event, because you're right. It's exhausting and there's better things we could be doing. So in the case of Thanksgiving, I would just shut it down and be like, we're not going to talk about politics.
And I think you could kind of use an element of that when you're shutting it down to just be like, I understand, I hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just make up a random example. I hear what you're saying. It hurts my feelings that you feel like someone or something I identify with is not valid.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to stop talking about it today.
Yes. So and I think that you're right. Like, that's kind of what they're getting at, but in a very, like, not basic, but just like a boundary setting.
Yeah.
Of being like, hey, I hear you, and I hear that upsets you, but that also upsets me for this reason. So moving forward, I don't want to talk about it today.
Yeah.
So for a case like a Thanksgiving dinner with your family, I don't know that this process that they're talking about is the most appropriate way, but I think setting a boundary like that, a little bit of I see your side, but I feel this way, so let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
I think that works better.
Yeah. I think what this person is describing might be good for, like, if you're meeting with somebody specifically to have this conflict.
Right. Or like a
Sure.
family member that you see frequently over a long period of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not really for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe that's, like, pessimistic of us, but it just seems like if you can just make it through the day, and, like, people's politics are so, like, entrenched these days that, yeah, I guess, yeah, people don't care about facts.
Yeah.
They care about what they feel is correct, and they're just gonna dig their heels in, and then at something like Thanksgiving, when there's more people around, it just seems like it's gonna get messy.
Right. Yeah. And I think, like, this whole process that they're talking about of this, like, conflict resolution type stuff is good to know and just kind of, like, have in your back pocket.
I
But
agree, yeah.
But on Thanksgiving Day, when, you know, you've got like 30 relatives, that's a lot. 30's a lot, but I have a big family. But you have so many relatives over, and there's kids everywhere and dogs everywhere, and it's hot and it's loud, and like other things are going on that have nothing to do with politics that are stressing you out. Leave politics out of it.
Yeah.
Just don't talk about it.
Yeah. Maybe Google or bring some, like, table topic questions, like neutral things that, like, you can offer as an alternative,
right,
to try to help change the subject. But yeah, protect your own peace.
Yeah.
And if you need to go,
then leave.
go.
Yeah.
If you
take
need
yourself
to shut
out of
it
there.
down, shut it down.
Right. But yeah, I thought it was very interesting. This, like, organization was made specifically for families dealing with conflict because of politics. It was like, that's kind of, it's good, but really sad at the same time.
Yeah. I'm glad it exists. Mm-hmm. And I hope that they get plenty of business.
Yeah, they probably will. Mm-hmm. They probably have, because it was started in 2016 and it's only kind of gotten worse since then. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's called Braver Angels. I don't know why it's called that. I couldn't figure that out. I thought that was an interesting name. Mm-hmm. Braver Angels. But they offer trainings, seminars, stuff like that. They have some, like, basic information that I found of, like, here's some conflict resolution topics or tips. But most of them were, like, you have to do it over a period of time.
Yeah.
Not in one day.
Yeah.
So while the article was talking about, like, here are some, like, general ways to get out of having a conversation with Uncle Larry that you know is going to be awkward or, like, not great, they provided also long-term options if you wanted to.
I mean, it's a cool idea.
Mm-hmm. It was very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And then the Reddit people were like, just do a Friendsgiving. Like,
Please.
Forget those meanies.
Yeah. You're allowed to not spend time with family members who don't respect you.
Yeah, like a lot of people were like, I tell people up front, if they want to come to my Thanksgiving, we don't talk about politics. We ban all political talk at the table because it's depressing and sad. Mm-hmm. There was someone mentioned, like, therapists recommend with your kids and teenagers that you role play how to have those hard conversations, of how to shut it down. And I think that's an interesting thing and a good idea, because kids and teenagers, like their uncle or grandma or grandpas might say something that is like not okay, but that's their uncle or grandma and grandpa, and in a kid's head that's like a authority issue. So it's like, okay, this is what you're going to tell grandpa if he talks about this stuff. And then you walk away. You tell him, hey, I don't want to talk about this stuff. It's Thanksgiving. Let's talk about something else, or walk away or whatever. But modeling and teaching your kids that it's okay to say that to other members of the family.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to teach your kids.
Yeah. I thought that was a good point to make. And then someone was like, there are way more interesting things to talk about other than politics. I was like, yep. And then people talking about having Friendsgiving instead of actual Thanksgiving, which is a chosen family alternative, which I really, really like.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Good luck to everybody on Thanksgiving. I'm sorry if you have an Uncle Larry who is great and I just bashed him.
It was just an example name. Sorry.
So I have a Google Doc of Reddit stories that I've accumulated since we started this podcast. So I'm just going to pick a random one, or you're going to pick a random one. Pick a number 1 through 21.
That's so many numbers.
I know. I have a lot.
13.
Okay, this is from Am I the Asshole?
I love these.
Was posted 6 months ago.
Okay.
And it says, am I the asshole for uninviting my son's stepmom to his grad party?
Uninviting is hard.
Yes.
But
there is a trigger warning for transphobia.
Oh, here we go. This is relating to how to talk to Uncle Larry about hard things.
Boundaries.
Uh-huh.
Okay, backstory. My 37 female son, 17 male, has a very strained relationship with his father and stepmom. He is trans, and they are Catholic, so they refuse to accept his transition and call him by his dead name and pronouns.
Gosh.
He lives with me full time after having a huge fight with them shortly after coming out. He used to live with them 50-50. His father is quite passive, and his stepmom is a narcissist. We'll see. I mean, we won't, but
People be
diagnosed?
throwing that word around.
Yeah. He goes along with everything she says. My son is graduating in a month. He just handed out invites to his grad party. Shortly after giving one to his dad and stepmom, stepmom texted my son about his grades and if he is even graduating.
Okay.
My son doesn't have the best GPA, but he is on track to graduate. Why would he be sending out
Yeah, that's what I was about
if
to
he wasn't
say.
graduating?
I'm inviting you to my I didn't graduate, I have to do an extra year senior year party. Whoops.
We're celebrating that I got held back.
Yeah.
That's weird. Okay, she was extremely condescending on the text and asked if he needed to come stay with her and dad because obviously I wasn't tracking his grades well enough. He's graduating.
Yeah. We're done.
He sent me the text, and I kindly text her back saying, I appreciate the concern, but he is on track to graduate, and I have it handled.
Good job,
And
Mom.
that in the future, I wish she would text more about his day than to just get on him about his grades.
Yeah.
And that it hurts that she seemingly only reaches out when something is wrong. She then responded with a snarky text that she can see his grades, and she called the school, and that Dead Name's counselor is also concerned about his grades, and that she texts Dead Name all the time. She does not. My son tells me every time her or his dad text or call.
Yeah. Okay.
After that, I blew up on her. I told her his name is this preferred name, and his pronouns are he, him, and that it's time she respected that. She countered with, you are a fucking idiot. You
Whoa.
can't change your sex, you fucking moron.
Whoa.
You have her so brainwashed, it's pathetic.
Oh.
After that, I told her not to bother coming to the grad party and that she was uninvited. She said, try and stop me.
Ooh.
My son was pretty upset about the whole thing afterwards and had a little bit of a mental health spiral. I think he's afraid that his dad won't come now. So am I the asshole? Obviously, I was just trying to protect my son. I have been civil and compliant of this narcissistic bitch for years, and I can't keep letting her talk to my son the way she does anymore. I'm starting to think maybe I should have just ignored her to stay civil after graduation.
Okay, not the asshole. Could have handled it better. Maybe. But it sounds like this resentment has been going on for a while. So yeah.
I do wonder if she has corrected the stepmom every time or if it has just been festering.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I would hope that it would be every time, but I also know it doesn't sound like the mom talks to stepmom very often.
Right. Which is, that's fair. That mom and stepmom wouldn't talk to each other.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I understand the son being concerned that his dad's not going to come now because stepmom's uninvited.
Right.
Which sucks because that's still your kid.
Yeah.
And he's having a grad party, so...
Yeah. That's a big deal.
It's not going to happen again until... unless he goes to college and has another one, but like...
Right. The high school one is kind of a big one, because that's the one that most everyone gets through. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate her for standing up for her kid.
I agree.
Because it's so hard to be different as a teenager, period, at all. But to also be different and have your family not accept you and then having to stand up for yourself is just like way more exhausting.
Right.
And difficult.
It's hard. It's exhausting to have to be the one to be like, hi, accept me as I am, please. Yeah. So I think it's great that he has his mom to be that mama bear for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just sucks.
Yeah. It sucks a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. If I were that kid, I might not want stepmom to be there if she's going to be like that. But I would want my dad to be there.
Right. Because in addition to her being transphobic, she's also just a jerk. Like, berating him about his grades and like checking up on his grades. Like,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if he's not doing well, like he's still 17 years old. Like he's in charge of his grades.
Yeah. And he's graduating. What does it matter what his grades look like? Unless here's the thing. Some people are all about your grades. And if that's your thing, cool. Get good grades then, I guess. But some people just aren't all about the grades. And it sounds like this kid has other priorities, and I think that's okay. If we were all A+, straight A people, that would be awful. That would be so terrible. We need other kinds of intelligences other than getting straight A's all the time.
That's true. And grades are not always the best measurement of whether or not you have learned the material.
Right.
And regardless, what people mostly care about is that you have the diploma.
Yeah,
they don't
you made
care
it through.
what your GPA was, unless you're going to Harvard. Like,
right. Yeah, that's the only, yeah. And even then, the kid is 17, maybe 18 years old. So, yeah, like if they have bad grades, that's kind of on them at that point. They know that they're going to be graduating. They know when, so they know how much time they have. And you can do all you can to help them get better grades, but it's ultimately up to them at that point if they're going to like turn in that assignment or not. You can't hold their hand and baby them through their senior year of high school. Cuz then they're just not going to be able to be an adult.
Right, they're not going to be ready for the real world.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. She sounds like a jerk.
Yeah, she sounds like a transphobic asshole.
Yeah. I hope that maybe this mom can help her son have a conversation with his dad about coming to the party.
Yeah.
Probably not before he talks to his wife, but that would be great if they could get to him before the wife does.
It's like and also I think dad should know how stepmom is talking to.
He probably does.
You're right. He
does. Because she sounds like the kind of person who just complains to everybody.
Yeah, that's true. Ew.
Yeah.
Gross.
All right. Well, that was fun.
Transphobic
Cross
people
that
are
one off the
gross.
list.
Ew.
Let's do this one.
Sure.
Okay. This one's long. And it's about a relationship. It was posted 9 days ago.
Ooh, okay. Recent.
It was on a subreddit for another podcast called Two Hot Takes. Have you ever heard of that one?
That sounds familiar.
It's a Reddit podcast where they read Reddit things. Okay, the title is I, 24 female, am planning to ghost my boyfriend, 23 male, of 3 years. Is there a better way to break up with him?
Yeah, I was going to say,
yes.
I'm going to count red flags. 1.
Immediately, yes. Okay. I will try to keep this as short as possible. She doesn't. Because I feel like a lot of what's going through my brain is nonsense rambling. But my boyfriend and I met at work nearly 4 years ago. We hit it off right away and formed a really close friendship. We didn't get together until a year later after we went through our own respective breakups. I was so happy after we got together. I thought I had met my soulmate. He was almost everything I wanted in a man. I started to rethink that in the last couple of months or so. For some context, my boyfriend had kept in contact with his ex, even after I made it clear I was uncomfortable with it. After a while, I stopped bringing it up because I knew what the answer would be. I brought it up one more time about 2 months ago, and he told me that he had already blocked her. That was a lie. I came home from work a few weeks later, and I had this gut feeling that he was hiding something. So for the first time in my life, I looked through a partner's phone. The messages were innocent enough, but spanned back far enough to tell me he lied about ever blocking her. Not only did he lie about not being in contact, he had blown off a date night with me to go hang out with her. When I confronted him, he broke down and said that he had only gone to her because he was feeling upset about a family situation. He claims the only reason he didn't come to me was because he thought I couldn't handle the stress given my mental illness, and that it just felt easier to go with her. At the time, I wanted to work it out and forgave him under the condition that he blocked her and came to me about his issues. He got better about telling me things, and as far as I knew, he had her blocked. Well, the other night, he said he was going out with some friends and would be home late. All of this was fine and normal until I noticed that he had turned off his location and was ignoring my calls. He says that he left his phone in his car and turned off his location by accident. But given that I have more than 2 brain cells, I know he's lying. He got a brand new phone, and it has been glued to his hand ever since he got it, so him leaving it in his car seems unlikely to me. These 2 events aren't the reason for me wanting to leave, but rather the catalyst. After both of these things happened, I started looking a little too closely at our relationship and have noticed some concerning behaviors. The first being, I don't think he actually likes me as a person. He talks about how much he loves me a lot, but a lot of his compliments are rooted in my appearance. He says he thinks I'm smart, but whenever I say something that he doesn't really agree with, I'm stupid for thinking that. He's constantly telling me how much the gifts he gets me are, despite me asking him not to, because it makes me feel bad for not being able to afford the same caliber of gift for him. Our sense of humor is rooted in being slightly mean to each other. With that sense of humor, we're bound to hit a small nerve every now and then. When I hit a nerve, he tells me, and I stop bringing it up. But when I let him know that he made fun of a big insecurity, he continues to make the same jokes. To make matters worse, the jokes aren't even that funny. Those are small behaviors I feel can go overlooked, but the following are more serious and have been a big fight between my boyfriend and I. The first one being his anger. No matter the situation, if there's any kind of inconvenience, he defaults to anger. Small disagreements escalate to full-blown fights because he gets angry and doesn't let me share my thoughts on the situation, and big fights turn scary. We have only ever gotten into 2 or 3 really big fights, but they have all left me feeling scared of him for a few hours following. Now on to the most serious, in my opinion, his treatment of our animals.
Oh.
He came into the relationship with a dog, and we just got a new puppy a few months ago. Don't get a puppy if you feel like your relationship is on the rocks.
Yeah.
When
or
the
a kitten.
Yeah.
Don't get
or
a pet.
any animal at all.
Buy a plant.
I will tell you my theory about animals at the end
Oh,
of this. I'm not talking. Oh, sorry. When the dog chews on something or runs up the street after a squirrel or whatever, he hits them. I'm not talking about a pop on the nose. I mean, our puppy will scream his head off because my boyfriend is so incredibly mean to him.
That's animal abuse.
Yeah.
It's illegal. Don't do that.
Yeah. In an attempt to keep the violence to a minimum, I took over the punishments. It's worked for the most part, but there are moments when he gets to them first, and I always feel so guilty. I also brought a cat into this relationship, and even though he hasn't laid a finger on the cat, he makes way too many jokes about hurting him. Why? Why would you joke about hurting an animal? I know I want to leave, but I'm torn between talking to my boyfriend or about it or just packing up and leaving one day while he's at work. Any advice?
Ooh, so they must live together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a little update. She said, super teeny tiny update. And then writes 3 paragraphs. I'm speaking with my supervisor tomorrow to get a realistic timeline of when I can leave. I know I can technically leave whenever, but I really love my job and want to make sure that the person taking over my position is completely set. After that has been settled, I just need to wait until move out day. I also wanted to clear up some of the things that the comments are saying that I'm controlling for having his location. We have had each other's location for almost as long as we've been living together. It's always for safety purposes. I don't sit on my phone all night watching where his pin is moving across the map. When either of us go out, we send each other like some kind of text to let them know that we're okay.
Yeah.
I sent a few texts while I was stuck in traffic and just kind of complaining to him. And then a few hours later, I sent him a text just checking in and looking for that quick little thumbs up to let me know that he was alive. I didn't get any response. I got so worried because it's not a common behavior for him, so I looked at his location just to make sure he wasn't in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah.
Keeping with the same theme of me being controlling, I didn't like that he was talking to his ex and had asked him to block her a few times. I would not give a shit if they were friends if either of them were being respectful to our relationship. Before I resorted to blocking, I had asked him to set up some ground rules and boundaries with her about what their friendships would look like given their past. He did not do this, and she was openly flirting with him and doing things to get him to notice her. She also likes to call back to back to back, like 15 calls within 2 minutes when she knows we're together. So given that neither one of them respected our relationship when they started their friendship, I feel completely justified in asking him to block her. If you think that makes me controlling or some heinous monster, I don't care. Okay, thoughts. A lot going on.
There's a lot going on. Well, to their point of like requesting that he block his ex, it sounds like to me that like an attempt at making a boundary was made, or a boundary was made and then wasn't respected, and so then she was just like, well, then this is where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Some people might find that controlling, and some people might find it is that she's protecting her peace.
Yeah.
And I mean, she talked a lot.
Yeah, maybe
she
we
shared
should break
a lot.
it. Maybe we should break it down into the different topics.
Right. Yeah.
So we focus on the X first.
The X. I would want to know a little bit more about like what it looked like before she requested that he block her. So like more information about like, well, what you're saying that she was flirting. What did that look like? What was the flirting looking like? What was she doing? And how was your boyfriend responding? Because I think, you know, that's like a tricky relationship dynamic where someone could perceive something as flirting and it's not. Mm-hmm. That might just be kind of like how that friendship looks. It's really hard to be like have a platonic friendship with someone of a different gender and people not assume that some kind of like romantic history has happened. Does that make sense?
Well, in this case, there was romantic.
In this case, there was, but like just trying to upkeep a platonic like friendship with someone who is of a different gender, everyone has these like assumptions. I'm just saying that from experience because most of my friends are guys.
Right. Yeah. No, there's a lot of assumptions that people make about, which is stupid because like, who knows what people are into? Like,
yeah,
you could be flirting with a girlfriend.
Yeah,
like,
that was my thing for a while. I was like, I'm like with a girl.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, what's going on with this guy you're talking to? I'm like, that's literally my gay best friend.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Right. No interest at all. Yeah.
Stop. But so I would want to know more about what their dynamic kind of looks like. Not to like justify what she's requesting, but just so that I know what's going on, of like what are the dynamics here.
Do you think it's okay if you feel like someone is crossing a boundary with your partner?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's okay to talk to that partner and say, I am uncomfortable with you having a platonic relationship with this person?
I think if it makes you uncomfortable, then you should talk about it. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's tricky because I feel like you can't really like tell someone who they can or can't be friends with.
Right.
However, it's kind of a conversation about, well, what I value in this relationship is this and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like what you're valuing is these things.
Mm-hmm.
So do those values match up? And maybe it's not the relationship for me if you're going to continue to let this person flirt with you. Even if you feel like it's innocent, it doesn't feel like that to me.
Right. Yeah, I think for a lot of these things that she's been talking about, it's a lot of like not communicating either at all or just like not communicating enough.
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume too, it sounds like the boyfriend is avoiding any kind of conversations that are going to be difficult. Or he just sounds like the type that would avoid those conversations. So that just makes it extra hard.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he's just blatantly blowing her off.
Yeah, exactly.
And like dismissing everything that she feels like is an issue.
Yeah, not good.
Okay, so that's the X thing. And then what about, what are your thoughts on location sharing in relation?
Oh, I mean, I do that with my fiance. We have different types of phones, but like we check in via text and we let each other know like I got to this location, talk to you later kind of a thing. And then even before we were living together and engaged, we would do that too. Yeah. Kind of just like, hey, I'm driving to work. I'll text you when I get there. Okay. And just keeping that kind of conversation, just checking in basically. Location sharing, like, I kind of go back and forth on that, I guess. Well, I don't see why location sharing is an issue if you're both like, I'm okay with it, right? If both people are like, I consent to you knowing my location on my phone or whatever, having it open.
Yeah. I think it should be a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you have to have the same intentions with a location share.
Yeah.
If the reason you want to share somebody's location is because you don't trust them, then that's an issue that you need to work on.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have their location until you work on that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I know I work with a lot of young people who have location sharing with their significant other, and they're just constantly checking it.
Yeah.
And like, why?
Right.
Why do you need to know where they are at all times? And why are you looking at where they are at all times?
That's so time consuming and like also brain consuming.
That's true. Yeah. It's another, like, you are letting this relationship be all you think about.
It's sapping your like mental and emotional energy.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly like worried about where they are.
Yeah.
I don't trust them.
I think if and these, it's mostly teenagers.
Yeah.
And like 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
But like, they share location, like, first of all, they're getting together like the day they meet. They're like, they're like, we just met and now we're boyfriend and girlfriend.
I sat next to you in Psych 101 and I'm in love with you.
And now you have to give me your location or we're not going to be together.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, the day I meet somebody, you don't need to know where I am.
Oh, yeah. No. When we first started dating, I don't think we shared location for a while. It took a while.
I think it's, yeah.
It's a step. Mm-hmm. It's a step, not a first thing.
Yeah. I have my location shared with certain friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's just like chronically late friends. Like, if we're going
that's
somewhere
a good point.
and I'm like, where the heck is this person? Then I can look and be like, they're still at home.
Yep. They haven't even left their house. That bitch.
Because then it's like, yeah. So if you have that kind of relationship where you're not just like obsessively like needing to know because you don't trust that person, then I think sharing a location is okay.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times people who haven't had a lot of experience in relationships or have trusting issues with anybody just because of trauma history or something,
Right.
we need to work on that. Because
Yeah.
you do not need to be checking on somebody's location. And if they have your location and they're constantly checking up on you, that's weird. Like, why don't they trust you? Like, let's evaluate what we want from a
flip
relationship.
it around for a second.
Yeah.
Like, why is he always worried about your location?
Yeah, let's step back and work on trust issues maybe before we get into a relationship at all.
Yeah. Gosh, whenever I have kids, I'm making them, I'm either I'm going to do it or I'm going to like find a class, but we're doing some kind of relationship training
Oh my God.
class. And probably, actually, I should not do that. Someone else needs to do that.
Yeah. They're going to be like, I don't want to do it. My mom said I have to.
My mom's a therapist. She makes me do all this stuff all the time.
What does she know?
She doesn't know shit.
Okay. So that's location sharing. I can see how if the precedent has been set and your location has been shared for a while and then all of a sudden they go
And then
dark,
yeah. I would be worried
I would
too.
be worried and a little suspicious.
Yeah.
Especially if trust has been broken in the past and he's been lying about where he is and now he's turning his location off. Yeah, I'd be suspicious.
Yeah. I think that is, yeah. I don't blame her for being suspicious and being a little freaked out by that. I don't think that's controlling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Then she gets into his anger. And that's a red flag for me.
Can you recap what his anger looks like?
Any kind of inconvenience, he defaults to anger and he blows up. Things have not gotten violent, but she has been scared.
Oh, if you're scared, get out.
Yeah, if you're scared, get out. For any reason, like there's a reason why you're scared.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's not working on it, there's no reason for you to be there.
Yeah. Your gut, in a situation like that, your gut is your best friend. If you're feeling scared, there is a reason. Whether or not you can articulate it, there is a reason that you're scared and you need to get out of that situation the best way you can.
And it is very easy for people who are mean to animals to escalate to being mean to people.
Yes. Yep. 100%.
Yeah. He is an animal abuser.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's going to be a people abuser.
Yeah, he will be.
Yes. If he hasn't already, he will be.
Yeah. Which is why the title of I'm planning to ghost him makes more sense. Mm-hmm. Because if he hits your animals, he will hit you.
Yeah, yeah. And she's going through these steps of like, because they work together, which is a whole other thing. So she's like, I got to make sure like I know what the process looks like if I quit my job, and I need to have like a plan in place for when I leave. Like she's already going through like these steps of leaving a potentially abusive relationship. Yes. So good job being safe and doing that. So I completely understand why she's like, maybe I should just ghost him and just pack up and leave.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I honestly, maybe just leaving a note to say, hey, we're broken up.
Yeah.
like no need to explain. Just being like, yep, no, we're done.
Right.
So that he's not looking for you. I mean, he might anyway, but like at least he knows why you're gone.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it needs to be a conversation face to face.
No. Not if his immediate reaction to inconvenience is anger all the time.
I think find a place to go, quit your job so that you don't have to go back there.
Mm-hmm.
Pack your stuff, pack your animals.
Yep.
All of them. I don't care.
Take both dogs and the cat. I don't care if it's
his dog.
Take them all.
And then send a text. Says I'm out.
Yeah.
And then block him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Because if he isn't a person abuser, he's going to be.
Yeah, no. I don't, yeah, any kind of like indication that if you're scared when you have a fight, that's a red flag.
Yeah. That to me means that he's probably like throwing things or yelling or like
Hitting walls,
doing something.
yeah.
Doing something like physically violent. So, yeah.
Yeah, just because they haven't hit you doesn't mean they won't.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they won't, if you're scared, you don't have to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay. Any other thoughts on this?
No.
Okay. My theory about animals
Yes, I want to hear this.
goes back to when I was doing in-home therapy. So my whole job was it was families who were involved with CPS, trying to prevent their children from being put in foster care or familial kinship care or whatever. My biggest red flag when I walked into a house is, how many pets do you have? And when did you get those pets? And the worst ones were, I'm in their house 3 times a week for 3 months. If they get a new pet while I'm working with them, that's a huge red flag. I feel like getting a new pet or trying to get pregnant or whatever while there's a stressful situation happening in your life means that you have shit coping skills.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of personal work that you need to do.
Because you're literally setting something up to project all of your problems onto.
You said, I cannot take care of my own problems, so I will find something else to take care of.
Yep.
Because it makes me feel better to take care of something else, and at least I'm doing something right.
Right. Yeah.
But you're not, because you're bringing a living thing into a stressful situation.
Yeah.
And you already are having trouble taking care of what you need to take care of, and
Yeah.
now you're adding to that.
So that the new life that you're bringing into your home is already going to have a struggle and a hard time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So every time I went into a new home, I was like, get a puppy. You're going to be a tough one to work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I'm working with you for a month, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, we found a kitten, and so now we have a kitten. You're going to be a tough one.
Yeah. That's an interesting theory, but I definitely see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm always asking people about pets, and every time they're like, oh, I got a new animal. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Just gonna put that in my back pocket. I don't like bring it up and be like, well, you're clearly bad at coping when you're like, but it's a good indicator for me that like we need to work on your coping skills.
Yeah. I'm thinking back on like clients that I've had where like they were like every client I have is having a hard time, but
Well,
some of the ones where it's like their home life is the issue, and I'm thinking back on like a lot of them had new pets introduced in the time that I was seeing them, and so that's interesting.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that was my big theory. I would always walk to the office and be like, guess who got a puppy?
Oh boy. That puppy needs therapy.
Yeah. It's just like, I can't get into specifics, but there are certain families where
Right.
I was like, really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like with everything else. Now you
Your
have
cat
a
had kittens and
small,
you're gonna keep them all?
Yeah. Now you have a small creature that's gonna poop on the floor.
Yeah.
Make your life more stressful because of that, and you can barely handle everything else.
Your kids are literally going to be taken from you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But at least you have a puppy?
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if like animal shelters should have a therapist as part of the interview process. Like,
Some of the
I
I
about your home life.
So I worked at a couple different animal shelters for a while, and I will say like the people that are there like the most that are taking care of these animals are kind of like the therapists for these animals, because they just knew when a dog came in like what the situation was. They could just tell. And then I kind of learned that from them too, of like, you can tell this dog was abused by a man because of blah blah blah, and like you could tell that this dog was neglected because they're 4 and still not potty trained, right? And so they were just able to like they just knew that stuff right away and were like, okay, so then this is how we deal with it. And this is how we help this dog. Yeah. So.
But I'm talking about like for the application process to get a dog.
Oh,
you have to go to a therapy
you have to go to a
session.
therapist
and be like, what's the environment like at your house? Any major stressors happening right now?
Yeah. Well, when I adopted my dog, Georgia, they did a home visit. Mm-hmm. So they came to our house and made sure that like the house was, you know, a good place for a dog, which it was.
Right.
We got her. I got her. It was easy.
Yeah.
But I like that. At first I was like, that's kind of crazy. You all are like going way too into this whole thing. But then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, like if you go to someone's house and they already have like 18 chihuahuas or whatever, dogs or something, and they're
no
not well
backyard
taken
and
care
like,
of,
yeah.
then it's like, well, no, you're not going to get another one.
Right. I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be great if all shelters had time to do that.
Right, yeah. And it's tough too because I'm also thinking about cats. I don't think I've ever adopted a cat. I've just found kittens.
Yeah.
And then taken them home.
My dream.
Right. That's how I've gotten every cat in my life. Mm-hmm. We found them. We found them somewhere and took them home. I've never paid for a cat. Or adopted one. Grew up in the middle of nowhere. That's how we got half our dogs too.
True.
Half the dogs we had growing up were just dumped at our farm.
Yeah. I should move to a farm.
If that's how you want, if you want to get free pets, live on a farm. Sometimes they dump off of weird pets though, like potbelly pig and goats got dumped off one time. So you don't get to pick and choose.
Yeah, yeah. Toby was a free cat, but
Toby.
Oscar I got at the cat cafe. So
yeah,
he's a Humane Society cat.
I love the cat cafe.
Oh, it's so great.
It's a good stress reliever place.
Oh, it's the best.
Maybe I should go there after election day.
Maybe. They're probably booked up.
They're probably booked for the rest of the year, honestly.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm not allowed to go to the cat cafe unless I have someone there to supervise me, so I don't.
So you don't take one
home.
Yeah. I feel like, because our house is a shotgun like this one, too. 2 cats is, like, enough for this size house. I think more than that would be too much.
Yeah. I really want an orange boy.
That's what I have.
One day.
You can come play with him whenever you want.
I'm hoping that the cat distribution system will get me one someday.
Gives you one, yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope this girl gets out of this relationship.
Yes.
This was only 9 days ago.
Okay. I'm interested
but it sounds like she's already forming a good plan.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think that people are putting links in here for like abusive relationships.
Yeah,
and
other
like,
people are picking up on that.
Yeah, making a safety plan and things like that. So I hope she's got a good support system and people that she can go and stay with because, yeah, I would get out ASAP.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. And in this case, I think communication is normally the way to go, but communication's not working here.
Yeah. It's obviously not working. That's where most of these problems are coming from. Mm-hmm. So, bye.
Goodbye. All right. Cool. Well, it's been an hour.
We did it.
We did it. We did it.
It's hard, you guys. It's hard. We're already therapists, so our job is already to talk for a long period of time.
Yeah, and then we said, let's talk some more.
Let's do some more.
Yeah, I think we both take a nap after we record episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I either take a nap or I do something fun, like play a video game, which is probably what I'm going to do today.
Ooh, what are you playing?
I have been playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay.
I think I've mentioned it before. It's like a D&D game, PC game. And then don't hate me. I play Hogwarts Legacy, but hear me out. I bought the game and then I doubled the amount that I bought the game for and donated that to the Trevor Project.
Okay.
So don't hate me. I'm sorry. I was the hugest Harry Potter nerd.
It was such a heartbreaking, I know that like there were a lot of issues that we just didn't pick up on because we were kids.
Right.
Like,
And also part of it was the books came out in a weird time where that was like that behavior or stuff was more like normal, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's not.
Now
we
it's
know
not.
better for sure. But so of course we didn't pick up on those clues in the books because we were more focused on like getting into the Chamber of Secrets and killing the basilisk, right? So my thing is still I love the stories. Love the stories, hate the author. But I still think the stories are great. And
Yeah.
I wish there was a way to like rewrite or just like tell the stories without having to reference Shishu must not be named or whatever people call her.
Yeah, I think someone really, some big rich corporation needs to buy the rights from her
Yeah. And then redo
so
it.
that they can make new stuff without her tied to it so that she doesn't get any profits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really, yeah. Yeah, because I went to, this was a while ago, but I went to the Wizarding World place in Orlando. This might have been before she made that Twitter.
That was like 2016.
Ooh, okay. It was after that.
I think it's been a
I don't
minute. It's been a minute.
It was a while ago when I went there. But I don't remember what my point was, but I went there and like cried because that was my childhood was Harry Potter books and those stories. And then when she made that initial Twitter and then like basically would not let it go and we learned that she was a shit human being.
Yeah.
That was devastating and upsetting. Yeah, that was hard.
Yeah.
I'll say it was tough to have to learn.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a little easier than this, but it's sometimes maybe it's just to make my life easier. My brain just decides that like billionaires are billionaires and me boycotting is not going to make them not be a billionaire anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the wrong way to look at things, but like if I need to get something from Amazon, I'm going to get something from Amazon.
I think it's if I were rich enough and privileged enough to not have to use stuff like Amazon or Walmart or big corporation stuff, then I would. But I'm not.
Right.
I have to use that stuff because I can't afford the other options. It's like using biodegradable products and stuff like that. I buy them when they're cheap and available to me, but I can't plunk down all that money on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I do my best, and I do my best to eliminate the stuff that I know is the worst. But at the same time, like, I don't have the money to sustain that kind of lifestyle.
Right.
I just can't.
Yeah. I boycott what I can.
Right.
I don't drink Starbucks. Like
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I drink, yeah. I am a huge, like, do things locally. Like, do the things locally. Try to avoid chain restaurants, chain stores, that kind of stuff. If you can find a local option that's for the same price, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is really hard.
One day I'll be rich and I can do all of the things correctly. But
Yeah.
I have to pick and choose for now, unfortunately.
Right, yeah.
And even if I was rich, like I can care about every social issue and not be able to put my energy into every single thing.
Yeah, that's something that, like, some of the teenagers I work with, a lot of them have a lot of, like, environmental anxiety about the planet, which, yeah, of course. I do too, babe. But a lot of the time I have to tell them, I'm like, look, you can't take care of the planet till you take care of yourself. The planet is huge. Huge. So take care of yourself and maybe do little things that make you feel better. But until you can take care of yourself and have that energy to, like, I don't know, become an environmental lawyer or something, if you're not at that point yet where you can do that, like, you got to take care of yourself and work your way up. Yeah. So you can't solve the world's problems right now. Or, like, ever, honestly. Sorry. It's not a one-person effort. Yeah. So take care of yourself and do the little things that make you feel better. So, but teenagers want to, like, yeah, they want to solve world problems immediately. Gotta do it now. And so they have a hard time hearing that.
Yep. Yep. I read something the other day that made me so sad.
Oh, no.
It said if you made $7,000 a day from the year 0
Okay.
to today, you would still not have as much money as Jeff Bezos.
I was going to flip off the camera. I can't do that. Fuck Jeff Bezos.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. I didn't know that. And I hate him so much more now. Why?
These people could solve so many issues so easily, and they choose not to.
They literally
actively choose not to.
all they have to do is put that money into something that does good.
You're already making more money
And
every day. Like,
yeah.
You won't even notice it's gone.
Why do you need that much money? Why? Why? Give me a good reason, because I'm sure you don't have one.
You have no good reason.
No.
And you're just putting it into people and places that are going to continue to make everybody else's lives worse. Fucking don't even get me started on Elon. Like,
Oh my God, that guy is a freaking idiot. He's never invented anything in his life. Look it up. Look it up.
Person in the world. And then he just wants to make everybody else's lives more miserable.
No, he's just a little boy that thinks technology is cool. Is kind of the vibe I get from him. No, he's an idiot.
Just like all these billionaires could just make the world a better place, and they actively choose not to.
Yeah. I feel like the only one that was like semi-okay was, who's the Apple guy? Steve Jobs?
Yeah.
Because he donated a lot of stuff.
And like Bill Gates kind of.
Bill Gates kind of, yeah.
But even still.
But they still had too much money. Like, you still have too much.
Mm-hmm.
You still have too much. You could give way more away. And still be fine.
Yep. And Warren Buffett's okay, I think.
I don't know enough about him to really care.
I'm pretty sure we don't hear about him because he just like does okay stuff.
Yeah.
And doesn't actively make the world a worse place.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong. Don't hold me to that.
Yeah, I don't know enough about him to really know what he does with all his money, but I just know his name because he's rich, basically. That's the only thing.
In today's comments, leave us, if you were a billionaire, what's the first social cause that you would solve with your billions of dollars?
Because you can.
Because you could do it easily. And I hope that you would choose not to just choose to do it.
Yeah. Instead of keeping it for yourself.
Yeah. I jumped ahead. We're supposed to do recommendations first. Do you have a
that's
recommendation?
Okay. I don't. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
That's okay.
I
My
forgot.
recommendation is get some funny socks. Today
I
my
love
socks say, don't be upsetty, eat some spaghetti. Do I recommend that as real advice? No. But
I do. I love spaghetti.
I also love spaghetti. It will not solve all your problems.
No,
but you are still allowed to be upsetty. Mm-hmm. But some good, funny, rhyming socks is great. These are from a website called Look Human.
Nice.
But you could get funny socks anywhere, man.
Yeah.
Go to Walmart. Find some funny socks or some funny underwear. And it's just like this cute little thing that not everybody sees. And then every once in a while, you get a little chuckle for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a pair of socks that sometimes I wear to work that say, it's a little girl with a horse. And it says, it's okay, horsey. I hate everyone too.
Yes.
And I, when I know I'm going to have like a 10 session back-to-back day or something crazy like that, I wear those socks because I am a therapist and I do think I do love people, but sometimes I just hate everybody. There's just sometimes where like, you know what? I can't people today.
Yep.
Can't do it.
Yep.
So I wear those socks to cope. And it helps.
Heard. Yep. Funny socks. Those are our recommendations. And then, yeah. Anything else?
Vote. Although this is going to come out after. But
yeah.
I hope you voted.
I hope you voted. I hope that you're dealing with the stress of family functions appropriately. Protect your peace.
Yep.
Yeah, leave in the comments what social causes you would help with your billions.
Yep.
And
billions is multiple because these people have multiple billions of dollars. Not just $1 billion. It's more than one.
It's crazy. And like and subscribe.
This episode's a little depressing and we're sorry.
Yeah. I'll try to think of a title that's like The Depressing World of Billionaires and Politics.
Something very clear about the tough topics we went through today.
Yeah. We got on a soapbox that we didn't get down. Whatever.
Yeah. We don't get to do that professionally very often. So
no, I did have a good little political rant with one of my clients the other day, and that was nice. That was a little cathartic for both of us, but yeah, it's tough times out there, man. Mm-hmm. Well, we hope that listening to us talk about it was cathartic for you as well, and please feel free to talk about it more in the comments on all of our social medias, and join us next time for maybe lighter topics. We don't know.
We'll see what happens.
Yes. Have a great week. Goodbye.